lost because I completely misread what was going on. After 30 years of covering campaigns, I thought of candidates as actual people, you know, with ideas and a vision and a plan to actually run the country if elected. The Biden-Harris campaign is something I never thought I would see, which is in effect a corporate hologram that is so thin there's not that much there. They are instead stand-ins for the most powerful people in the world. I don't think that's an overstatement. So that's one of the reasons I don't mean to attack Joe Biden in this personally. I've always liked Joe Biden personally. I still don't hate Joe Biden or anything. But it's not really about Joe Biden. It's about this amazing constellation of forces that have come together almost as one. I'm talking about the finance and tech worlds. I mean, basically anyone who's prospered over the last generation in this country has decided we need to get rid of Donald Trump. And they all kind of coalesced behind Joe Biden, and it almost doesn't matter who Biden is. He's the guy whose job it is to beat Trump, and maybe that will work. But you got to kind of wonder what comes after that, right? Because there is no actual plan that we're aware of for how Biden's vision will be kind of brought to America.
I was thinking about how, you know, Nancy Pelosi has had to hold off the squad for the last couple of years, and I'm sure she's probably tired of being the only one that has to do that, but you can imagine that they will not be quiet as soon, regardless of what happens.
That's right.
The left is empowered after this election. And the other thing is that we've talked about on your show since 2016 is when Hillary Clinton won the popular vote, but not the Electoral College, and Trump became president, I mentioned, and we've talked about, and you're generous with your time on this issue, because I'm really interested in this issue of the Electoral College, the assault upon it.
Yes.
It is likely that no matter what happens tomorrow night in terms of who becomes the president for the next 4 years, that the Electoral College will likely go to the Democrat again. That's what we've seen. And if the Senate also ends up in Democratic hands, plus you have many state houses and state senates, the state legislatures heading that way, and they have redistricting on the line, because this is 2020 is a redistricting year.
That's right.
Tucker, this is really for all the marbles.
Well, it is, and I'm not sure that that's clear to a lot of voters. I mean, there's certainly a lot of moderate people who are exhausted by the drama of the last 4 years. They blame the president for it. They want something else. Understand. But I don't think a lot of them fully appreciate just how different America will be 4 years from now if we have one-party rule, if there's no balance at all, because our systems could change. I mean, we could see the elimination of the Electoral College, packing the Supreme Court, packing of the Senate. It would be a very easy thing to add Puerto Rico 2 new senators. It's possible they could add D.C., 2 more after that. Possible they could lower the voting age to 60. There's a whole suite of structural changes that are not on the ballot, but in effect are, that could make it very difficult, the legalization of 20 million new voters. They can make it very difficult for any other party to wield power in this country. What does that look like? Our system was set up to be divided on purpose so that power didn't vest in too few hands. The trend right now, not just in politics, but in business, is a tiny group of people control everything. And I just fear that's a very volatile way to run a country. That's not democracy, actually. It's a violation of the promise of it, and it makes, I don't know, you don't want to tamper with the formula in the way that they're planning to. It makes me nervous.
Last night you wrote, in your monologue, but also, as in the spoken word on your show, you talked about this campaign coming to a merciful end for Joe Biden. Tell me a little bit more about that.
I mean, look, I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, but I think if Biden does get elected, he has to, and the rest of us have to face the reality that the Democrats he says he represents no longer exist. I mean, there aren't, rural people, the ones that he did for so many years represent, are no longer Democrats. Go to any college town. It's a cluster of left-wing posters. Move out from the college town toward the impoverished areas. You will never see a Biden sign in front of a trailer in a rural area. This is a class conflict more than anything else. Biden doesn't represent those people because they're no longer Democrats. So once he beats Trump, if he does, he's kind of fulfilled his biological destiny at that point, and a lot of other constituencies in the Democratic Party are going to say the obvious, which is you don't represent us, get off the stage. I think, again, volatility could follow fairly soon after Joe Biden's election, if he's elected. And that's, I don't know if we're thinking that through.
Maybe just a last question for you. So the political realignment that we have been living through kind of started in the 1990s. Do you think it ends in 2020, or does it have a little bit more to go?
The leadership of the Republican Party needs to understand that they now represent wage earners in this country. This is the working man's party. It never has been. It now is. Tell me the last time you saw a Range Rover with a Trump sticker on it. No. It says resist on the back of every Range Rover. Every pickup truck says Donald Trump. Who are the people in the Range Rovers resisting? The guys who hang their drywall, who plumb their homes, who trim their trees. Again, the population has completely reoriented, but the parties, particularly the Republican Party, will not acknowledge it. They still think they represent Silicon Valley. Who hates them? So that's the change that I'm looking for. And sometime, no matter what the result is, the Republicans need to figure out who their voters are.
Yeah. Tucker Carlson, a real pleasure to have you on. Thank you for doing this early in the day.